to get in first pick on this one. TSM back on purple, Cloud9 on blue to start this match off 2-0. This is what they would call game point for Cloud9.
Yeah.
TSM looking to stay alive in the final series.
And Vladimir Ari bans, tried and true, they worked for Cloud9 in the first 2 games. They clearly identified that as TSM's best strategy. And I can't really argue with them taking Ari away from Reginald. As much as High may have been practicing Ari, they're not willing to first pick it because they like to first pick clearly the Elise and the other priority champions. So I like the banning strategy so far from Cloud9. Same 3 bans that they had last game, no reason to go away from it.
Very interesting from TSM that they would actually ban out the composition. You know, it still works well together. That's an undefeated alone Zyra and Ashe for elimination and Sneaky. So even breaking them up doesn't do much, but to still ban out both, is it going to be a Rumble focus? Because that has played.
Well, here's the big thing right
or
now.
What?
Is because the Zyra ban is required since they've just been running Varus Zyra. And it's actually had very similar effectiveness. So they had to get rid of both of them.
Oh.
Might as well get the third. They're trying to eliminate the utility that Cloud9 brings from that AD carry position. That's just what they're doing.
The Super Week showed us that Cloud9 loved Zac and loved Zed. High on Zed is something he is very, very familiar with, but the matchup is also there for Reginald, and the odd one actually gets his Elise.
Yeah, that's pretty big for TSM, but now it's just on Cloud9. I think they're going to shore up their initiation because that is the most important part of their game. The games they've lost this split have been the games where they haven't shored up their initiation. So I'd expect maybe even though Rumble's available, there's a chance they're going to go for Kennen in the top lane just so they can have that combo. And the Zac is there for Meteos if he wants it, knowing that the Elise has been picked on the other side.
So different from game to game, what's put into respect, what they really consider. You know, Mega Zero didn't get his Rumble ban, and he was being like, I'm confused.
Yeah,
here, these guys are taking it into true consideration. And I think some people are still a little bit confused.
Yeah, well, this one, the Twitch pick is awesome because Sneaky's almost going to say, all right, we shut down Wild Turtle's Twitch. Now it's my turn to play Twitch. Let's see if TSM can put a similar shutdown dive-type game plan together to just beast down Sneaky's Twitch. I'm seeing TSM as defaulting back to a lot of their tried-and-true strategies here, and I like that decision by them.
That may just as well be the Kennen. They're taking into consideration the Vayne pick comes out. We saw that before. Could it be 3 games in a row that Cloud9 is looking for similar champions in Select? And it's actually going to be, and this is an interesting one. You talked about Meteos' aggressive Nocturne going huge, but his tank Nocturne just went huge.
Yeah, and this is actually a lower control Cloud9 comp, but they still have the same target prioritization. Because they have Zed and Nocturne, they basically get to click on a guy and kill him, and that's usually going to be Wild Turtle, as it has been this series. Nocturne and Zed can buddy up with the Rumble ultimate still reaching, and they have the same initiation potential, just substantially less lockdown. And for TSM, they would be open for a Karthus here if they wanted to really go close to their old Season 2 strategy. What's Reggie going to pull out here? Because he hasn't necessarily performed great in the first few games.
I don't know. You actually see Dyrus being the one talking with Xpecial right now. Reginald is kind of on the end there, so he is maybe not taking the role, but just having input in whatever that situation was. Yeah.
Fizz.
All right.
We saw High pull it out. It's the new hotness in mid lane, it seems, as everyone wants to play the fish. Against Zed, that is going to be a very tricky, bouncy matchup between those two. Fizz can dodge out of the death mark very well. That's last pick. That's the right spot to pick Fizz. And I haven't seen Reginald's Fizz. This is exciting.
This is absolutely going to be exciting. They are pulling out all the stops, and this is exactly what we've needed and wanted and would love to see teams do. We saw Cloud9 doing a bit of it. He pulled out the Fizz, then they pulled out the Vladimir, and now TSM is taking things into their hand, and they're going to put Fizz on their side. But that's a known matchup for High in a lot of recent practice.
Well, he said he's played about 20 games on Fizz. He hadn't played the Diana matchup. I'd imagine he's played against Zed a couple times because he's a much more popular champion. This time, High, he knows the Zed matchups against almost everyone because that was, even though he doesn't lock down on champions very often, Zed is his played champion, and that's what they really excel on. Cloud9 is still confident and comfortable with this composition.
So as we look at that Reginald pick, and we are kind of like, whoa, this is crazy, let's actually think about that. It's still what Reginald likes to do in all aspects. You can be aggressive by yourself, you can be an assassinator, and you can do things and escape.
Exactly. He will be trying to make as many plays as possible here. The thing I worry about for TSM, and the thing they have to not let happen to them, is the lane shoving that has been crushing them. Shen doesn't push waves quickly, Vayne doesn't push waves quickly, and neither does Fizz. So it doesn't matter kind of how well they have roam potential if they never have the opportunity to roam. Because everyone on Cloud9 can push the waves, and they're going to try and stop TSM from getting out of their lanes.
Well, TSM is going to try and stop Cloud9 to keep their hopes alive for that first place spot in the NALCS Summer Split. The finals could end right now if Cloud9 comes out on top of this game. Team SoloMid in the third bout of the best-of-5 series, looking to stay alive.
This Fizz pick is a gambit by Reginald. He was not looking very happy after those first 2 games. He left game 2 early, did not seem to be participating heavily in the post-game discussion. And based on discussions with these guys, Dyer is always talking about how much Reggie is TSM and how much presence he has. If he's not talking, it's not good for TSM.
Pushing down towards high. Nothing's really going to be done here except for the knowledge being given, the wards to be placed out. Tri-brush up at the top, as well as the Wraith ward going out for Cloud9 to keep a little bit of aggression towards the top side of the jungle.
All right, so once again, we see them trying to ward each other's red buffs, but they're getting a little closer than they have in the last few games. That ward actually got killed down because TSM was ready to attack it. Let's place another one. Lemon Nation has plenty.
Special got it. That's big.
That's a lot of money for him. Who says supports can't last hit?
Looks like they may actually go top lane with this one. They're going to head back. Sneaky and Lemon Nation looks like they have already made their choice. This will really be the first one. They don't go for those deep wards and try to figure out everything that's going on in the matchup. And it is going to be the swapped lanes. The 2v1s will come into play. Something pretty much to be expected here with the top laners that we're seeing in Shen and Rumble.
Yeah. The Twitch lane with Thresh is very potent for Cloud9, and I feel like Cloud9 actually excels in 2v1 scenarios just because they played so many games with that setup. But once again, Meteos is trying this slightly risky jungle start, starting at red buff and then going to blue. If TSM wants to overwhelm him at his blue buff, they absolutely can. Be interesting to see what Wild Turtleneck Special do next. See, Balls is pulling back to help him, and High has actually been keeping Reggie at base, so Reggie can't roam over. It's good protection by Cloud9. Normally, it's actually very dangerous for him to go to his blue buff, but the way Cloud9 played this, they actually made it quite safe.
Well, knowing that the first 2 waves really aren't going to be his, he comes back, plays it safe. I think he even soaks up a little bit of experience for himself on that one because it's not going to hurt going into level 2 or rather level 3 for Meteos.
Yeah, and High popped his red elixir almost immediately in that mid lane because he's trying to punish Reginald as much as possible early on Fizz. He knows the weaknesses of Fizz early on in that matchup.
He has the flask. He's going to be able to not pretty much, but trade consistently with the energy that comes in with Zed on high. And we're going to see. I don't think they're going to be going for each other too soon. There's no pressure from the junglers here. The 2v1s are going to mean that's where the experience is going to be soaked up on the turret pressure. So Reginald and High may be duking it out by themselves for quite some time in the mid.
Yeah, this could be another one of these fairly long laning phases. It doesn't look like we're going to see an early sneak tower dive by Meteos this time, which was able to shut down Darius a little bit early. Diving a Doran Shield Shen is much more difficult than diving a squishy little Karthus.
Twice in a row.
Twice in a row.
Yeah.
So it means Meteos is playing a little bit more conservatively and maybe actually going to share a little bit of farm with Balls.
You can see how that top lane works. Balls now at 330, actually just hitting level 2. So knowing everything's all right still at level 1. And here we go with the junglers. It's not going to be the odd one just yet, but Meteos will make his presence known in the top lane.
No, Odd One has been struggling with this jungle matchup against Meteos. It's been a difficult balance for him about keeping his laid-back jungle style where he tries to counter-gank and then keeping pace with Meteos. Because Meteos doesn't actually offer very many opportunities to be counter-ganked because as successful as he doesn't gank that often. So it's hard to set up the right counter-gank.
No real gold lead that would make a difference at this point. A pink ward still being held by X-Special in the bottom lane. Or I'd say in the top lane, rather, which means they are going to try for something at some point with that. As for now, they hold it. I don't think they have the damage they would be looking for to really get this fight down. But without Odd One now going to the bottom lane, that pink ward's just going to be held.
Yeah, and it's really this mid lane matchup that High is destroying right now. 31 farm to 10 of Reginald. Reginald went back right as he could get his Doran's Ring, but ended up losing a cannon minion to that turret as well. So that lane early on, High is almost already, actually more so, made up for the 350 gold that he spent on that red elixir. He's up 1,400 to 1,050 in gold.
Slow play here. Meteos coming into the bottom lane, and it is going to be the Odd One trying to get the gank in as well. The repel out to the river, but he's forced to flash, and Sneaky follows in pursuit with the flash as well. The true damage is ticking, but so is the health potion. Meteos trying to throw down the Dustbringer. He's just in range for first blood.
Pinging level 5, and then Meteos gives Odd One the taste of his own medicine, coming in for a perfect counter gank, outnumbering the Odd One, and now he's looking to explode this game again on Nocturne.
That was an absolutely great read by Meteos, and again, it happened steps before. By not seeing that the Odd One was instantly at bottom when he was top, he knew the Odd One would eventually be there, and played that one perfectly.
This means a lot of trouble for Dyrus as well, because he hasn't necessarily been doing amazingly in that 1v2 lane. 14 farm when you compare to Balls, who's sitting around 19 or 20. And hello, Meteos, weren't you just bottom lane? How are you up here for even more farm?
He knows he did his job. He gave that little bit of the snowball to the lane with the assists. They're going to be able to use that, not just yet, but with the Odd One coming back, he definitely wants to get a bit of that money back. Not in repel range. Looks like he's going to be safely getting out of that one with just a bit of harass.
High also just hit level 6 in mid lane. Reginald's going to have to be careful what he does with his Playful Trickster, because if he uses his E to farm, High would go all in for a kill. This actually nerfs Reginald a bit in mid lane, even though he's been coming back very strongly in that farm.
There's a little bit of an extended lane here for High. I think he wants to go back now. His inventory has been completely empty for like 3 or 4 minutes.
So that's why Reginald's been coming back. He gets the Shark before High goes for the Death Mark and just pushes him straight back. High just goes for 3 long swords. He wants to fight.
He absolutely wants to fight. Probably turn one of those into a Hex Drinker. One into a Brutalizer he goes to, or starting that Bilgewater Cutlass as well.
There's a lot of
little items he's got to start piecing together. The triple dip, the first one we've seen, possibly. 7 minutes in. Yeah, we'll see more. 600 gold as both teams pretty much building evenly here. 600 really isn't going to sway any of these team fights, but that is first blood. And again, that is Meteos on this Nocturne play, coming up big for his team. Like you said, Jat, he doesn't make his presence known very much, but when he does, it counts.
Yeah, and he's level 6 at the same time as a solo laner, so he can now decide wherever he wants to gank. Immediately, everyone on TSM is kind of put on notice for the Nocturne ganks. The fact that the jungler hit level 6 before the solo lane Shen means a lot, and it's not good for TSM.
Still, Reginald looks like he's picked up a few more CS in that lane, but it's still a deficit of 20. High is already rotating. Balls, again, like you said, always on the move. That speed start of Scrap Shield definitely helps him make that movement.
Yeah, TSM might still try to 5v5 this inside the Dragon Pit. This is dangerous, but they're fighting Dragon versus an Equalizer.
They go right after. There is the Stand United coming in. No, the Stand United from Dyrus not going to come in on this fight. They may have said do not do that. It looks like they're going to be able to get this one out for themselves.
TSM. 2 for 0 and the Dragon. The Odd One went in for the Dragon steal, but Dyrus could not make it in with his Stand United shield. That is a huge swing again for Cloud9, and TSM puts themselves in an even bigger hole, trying to contest that Dragon against a Rumble, but then the Rumble didn't even need to use Equalizer.
Nope.
At least Dyrus gets the turret back. That's something.
And this goes into the communication they were talking about before. Dyrus talking about his Shen play, knowing when to ult and knowing not when to, because they did get themselves a turret off of that as well for him stopping.
Yeah, that is not the crisp TSM play we saw against Falcon. That was a very indecisive jungle play. It looked like the Odd One was waiting for someone to make a call and then said, we got to do something, I'm going to try to steal. And that's one of those almost solo queue-esque jungle plays where you're going in not with your whole team, couple people end up dying, and then you sloppily disengage. Not the type of game TSM needs to be playing, and it's not the type of game that they're capable of.
Taking a look once again at these inventories. Dyrus picking up a Negatron cloak to start off in this matchup. Pretty smart by him as he's going against balls. We saw what happened in previous games with the pickup of the chain vest, and then that didn't go as planned. 72 to 71 between those 80 carries and the sneaky pickup of the Dorans over the quick BF sword of Wild Turtle.
Yeah, so at least Wild Turtle was able to farm up a large chunk of gold and pick up that BF. That might be the spot where TSM pulls back a little bit in this game. Wild Turtle's had such a rough series because Cloud9 has been targeting him again and again. And I feel like Cloud9 is going to be trying to do that once again with the Zed and the Nocturne picks. It's really going to be a lot on Dyrus to try and protect Wild Turtle with Stand United at the right time. But Wild Turtle, at least right now, is farming safely, and he hasn't died yet.
Still quite a window for that Stand United to come back up, and he is at pretty much that taster's choice farm spot of the lane. You're 75% towards yourself. It's not just yet in turret range, except for that one minion making me a liar. But it's all right. He'll grab the rest of them.
It's a very safe spot for him to farm, especially with the giant amount of magic resist Dyrus picked up with that early Negatron cloak. Balls is really just trading farm with him right now.
Tried to pick up the Sork boots to say no. Gonna negate that. Oh, chum the waters, but he goes back in with a death mark. Both of them trading as Meteos just on the backside, but where's the odd one? Always on the backside of Reginald, but Reginald had dove too far forward for the odd one to actually give him any help.
Yeah, and there's the roam by balls as well. They might be looking for more, or maybe just a turret.
That looked like the equalizer start, which they would have caught up on, but it looks like they will be able to take down this turret. A very fast move. Balls only pushed that lane 75% and then just left it.
In order for TSM to exceed in the past, it's been all about Reginald and the Odd One buddying up. Odd One is always behind Reginald, and they always work together to shut down the other mid laner. High and Meteos are doing the same thing to him right now, and Odd One and Reginald are a combined 0 for 4, whereas Meteos is potentially on path to take over this game again as Tank Nocturne.
The way these things happen, you have to consider that Cloud9's fights come in as, High saying something. I think Reginald is playing differently. He's going to aggress me. Meteos was already there. Balls was already coming down, and it didn't matter that Odd One was there. They're taking these situations perfectly. They're thinking of them, and they are not incorrect.
Cloud9 is just reading every move of TSM right now before it happens. And it's almost getting better as the series progresses. The first game looked rather close. The second game, TSM actually made a move and was up 2,000 gold, but then it swung even farther in Cloud9's favor. And this game, right from the very first move, it seemed like Cloud9 knows where TSM is going to be.
And it looks like High did fire out that Bilgewater Cutlass into his Hex Drinker to keep himself safe in that engage. Coming out with that on his last purchase. Reginald forced to farm next to that second tier turret in mid. Now they're even in turrets. Well, right now that gold lead is 3.6k in the lead coming in for C9.
And the Dragon's going to be up in under 2 minutes. Cloud9 hasn't even expended many of their ultimate cooldowns. They should have them all for that if they want to. Even Meteos picking up Spirit of the Ancient Golem before the Odd One is able to gain access to it. High now going back. Going to pick up a couple more goodies, mainly just prepare for that last fight. BF Sword was matched by Sneaky as well on Twitch, so he can outduel Wild Turtle now on this early game Twitch. And also importantly, Cloud9 has warded that middle lane where Reginald was pushed back, so they know if he goes to roam from behind his dead turret and what side he's going to be going for. That's one of the ways Cloud9 can see where TSM is going.
And to speak of those wards, continue. TSM is not putting down the Nocturne wards. They're putting down close wards for close ganks. Dyrus has one in his tri-brush. Both brushes are warded down in this bottom lane. We're looking with Sneaky. Meteos has the chance to pretty much gank from anywhere, and that fear is in the heart of TSM because they know he only ganks when it's going to count too. Yeah,
and here's the thing about why TSM doesn't have Nocturne wards, as we like to call the deep wards in the enemy jungle.
Yeah.
Is because their lanes are all pushed back to their turret. So they don't have access to actually place them within Cloud9's jungle. Everyone on Cloud9 has to be in on that in order to prevent those wards from coming through.
Great. Union coming in with the team right now for C9. Meteos picking up the red buff. This may mean they want to go for an engagement quite soon.
And Balls has already made his preemptive roam down
5
bottom.
seconds.
Dyrus is up near the top lane trying to push, but he actually can't trade a turret back this time. TSM might force themselves into a dragon fight here because they're thinking there's no other hope. We've seen TSM do this in the past. Cloud9 goes.
They do not know who is in that dragon pit right now
Right on
because
the
it was
turtle.
over the wall. Meteos back to the back line there. Special, a nice crescendo over the wall, shuts down onto one, but he is going to go down himself, looking for the kill still. It's all onto High. The focus from Balls and High in the middle of the fight. Who is going to be doing the damage? You see Wild Turtle trying to tumble on the outside. He's now in a 1v1 with Sneaky. Reginald coming back in for kills, but he goes down to the hands of Meteos, and they finally push them out of the jungle to figure out where the vision is.
Good
figure
taunt.
out where the focus is, but the turret's still a bit too healthy for the dive.
It's still a 3-for-1, and Cloud9 is turning back on the dragon. They're having a pretty tough time with it, but it looks like they're going to get that. And that was just Cloud9 turning because TSM poked their head into the dragon, and Cloud9 decided to just rush in after them. Oh, look out.
This is pretty sneaky.
Look out.
There's one shot. Can he get the
One more.
explosion range? Oh, it is not. That's not good. Dyer's coming down. This is bad news bears here.
Yeah, that
looks
is
like
a
Sneaky could be in some
unfortunate
trouble.
place for Sneaky to be. Tries to pop the barrier to fight this one, but there is no backup coming for Sneaky right now. Maybe the turtle help him.
Oh, Vayne tumble. Ah. Tried to get it. So that's a shutdown going for Dyrus onto Sneaky. It's only a 2-kill shutdown, so not a super amount of gold.
No, but let's take a look at this dragon fight one more time because Cloud9 just uses the Nocturnal and they just go for Wild Turtle. Immediately, the Dyrus ultimate goes down on him as well. But because he was so far back when that Dyrus ultimate happened, you see all the TSM members at the top of the screen. They couldn't really get in on the fight for a long period of time. Lemon Nation also had a really good shield over the wall that protected most of his team. It actually ended up getting him killed because Reginald jumped over, but the rest of Cloud9 could support him throughout. Sneaky never had any threat on him, and TSM couldn't find the right target because they were down a lot of gold before that fight, and they got initiated upon.
Dyrus close to finishing up a Sunfire Cape. It will hopefully take the pressure off some of these lanes that Cloud9 is pressuring, but them knowing they have the upper hand, doesn't look like it will happen anytime soon. Dyrus right now in the mid lane trying to farm up that Sunfire Cape. It's going to be the Sheen onto Reginald. He's double dipping in that too, trying to see all of these builds. He's trying to go for the Zanyas as well as that Lich Bane, and we kind of saw that High was back on Fizz. And he came back to do it well, but he already had that Zanyas completed when it happened. So there's a lot of things that aren't being put together in that puzzle for TSM right now.
Yeah, Reginald will need a lot of help if he wants to get going on this Fizz game. One benefit that High had when he played his Fizz game is the rest of his team did a lot of AoE damage so he could kind of play cleanup. That is not the case right now for TSM. They have Hyper Carry and Turtle and a couple tanks in the odd one at Dyrus.
They dive right down onto him. Reginald gets, no, he dodges that Trickster, but he actually still gets feared before it happens.
Too many people
the
there.
one goes in, he goes down. Reginald is going to be taken up here. He tries to go back to the turret. A very nice Q in, doing the damage that he can, but a double kill coming in for Balls.
More kills and more power for Cloud9. They now have 4 people up here. Even though Dyrus is full health, he has to just get out of there.
We always see that Cloud9 moves power in numbers, and it looks like Dyrus rather still going to have to go back. They will not stop on this pressure.
This is a Cloud9 trademark game right now. 9 kills to 2, taking everything they want, giving a little when it matters because they're going to get more in return.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Continuously pressuring down. They got the kill. Cloud9 moves on to take something else. Almost their motto when they come into these games, besides having fun. 28,000, 28.5 to 21.5. So pretty good gold lead here coming in for Cloud9. It's 3-2 in turrets, so the map vision really isn't swaying too much of a favor because it's not the two or all 3 outer, but that is a second tier in the top.
Yeah, they have the control up towards the Baron area, which is actually most important because that might be their next progression for taking control of this game. And after all of those pushes, Cloud9, everyone on their team had 1,000 or more gold, and they're just going back to buy the goodies right now. You can see Meteos is a full Aegis of the Legion up on the Odd Ones item build. A static shiv has been completed for Sneaky. That's his favorite item. He always seems to build that over Phantom Dancer. He just loves getting that proc to catch the enemy off guard and start the fight stronger. It means Lemon Nation can pick up on Oracles and just continue to deny TSM vision, make it difficult or near impossible for TSM to re-engage on these fights. Right now, Cloud9 is just putting on the clamps for TSM, taking all their other turrets and containing TSM to their base.
See, all the wards were cleared on the map or have worn out on the map for Cloud9, and that's what they're doing. Restructuring all these wards to the bottom. They want the second tier bottom turret too. They always fight around their currently placed wards.
They do not want to be snuck up on, and right now, TSM is trying a two-man double lane split push going for the mid turret, but this is the worst team to try this against because Cloud9 is willing to dive immediately. They have Nocturne ult up, they have the Equalizer, they're going to be going for this inhibitor immediately.
They are right onto it. There goes the death mark. Odd1, I believe, catches that. Special force to run away. The crescendo goes out, and this is going to be a run back from Wild Turtle. The Shen comes in on Stand United. Dyrus here to help the team.
2v5.
They are under the turret. The tank is going on to Meteos right now. He is taking a few shots. The turret now goes on elimination. Should make it out alive as Cloud9 starts to disperse. TSM sets up the defense.
Everyone on TSM had to just defend because they knew Cloud9 was going to be going in, and it was just a mismatched odd man fight for TSM. They never had the numbers, and despite the turret hitting Cloud9 and really being an extra member for TSM, didn't matter because Cloud9 had the jump on him. Take a look at this one more time. It's just a fairly clean initiation, didn't even get the Equalizer, but because the burst was so focused for Cloud9, they took out two members before the fight started. Reginald and Dyrus tried to use the turret as a protector for themselves, but it just wasn't enough. Turtle came back late as well, and then Cloud9 pulled back exactly when they needed to because they recognized the support for TSM has arrived. They gave nothing back.
And the gap is only getting bigger. We mentioned earlier that the Odd1 has not been having the best time against Meteos in this series. Right now, their gold compared sits at 7,200 to 4,200 gold.
Yeah, this is a best of 5 to decide who gets the bye, and in the first 3 games, this is probably the best of the 3 for Cloud9 because they've been absolutely wrecking TSM across the board. Every single person is crushing, and in prior games, sometimes they've been down a little bit more in farm. This game, High is up 60 on Reginald's Fizz because he knows that matchup. Balls is actually down a little bit, but he got 4 kills to get it back for him. That's another dragon taken for Cloud9. They're 10,000 gold up at 21 minutes. This is an incredibly dire situation for TSM as they are fearing a turret dive.
And just to show how much they want to continuously keep advantages, before we just saw Meteos place his pink ward, they came out with 3. They have Sneaky. They're trying to allow him to have advantageous entry into fight and have no problem during the fight. So they're trying to keep every advantage alive.
And we saw how they dove this turret the first time. All of TSM was not there, but the gold lead was also a little bit smaller. This is actually a fight. Normally it's easy to call Cloud9 initiations because they're just always going to go.
Yep.
This is one they might wait on. I think it depends on if they catch a good opportunity. Maybe Lemon Nation is going to look for a flay, and they actually decide to back away because they recognize TSM's actually there, and there's easier objectives on the map for them to take.
So they have everything cleared on this side of the jungle. It looks like those last 2 pink wards will be held for Wild Turtle in the engagement. He is using that Vayne ultimate defensively in the past engagements. They need him to be using it offensively with Reginald. It's very close combat that he has to get himself into. And I guess the Vayne over the Caitlyn was the pick they wanted for this game.
Yeah, and he's actually went for the Infinity Edge on Vayne this time, which is a new thing. Kind of trying to change it up once again. It just means he needs the game to get even later to become impactful on Vayne. And that is not time TSM can buy. The first 2 games taught us anything. It's the Cloud9 knows how to finish games. If the split taught us anything, it's the Cloud9 wins games and finishes them quickly. Right now, I think the way Cloud9 goes and does that is they can actually start thinking about the Baron buff. TSM hasn't been out of their base in about 5 or 10 minutes. So even though Cloud9 already has an Oracles, they have no vision. And Reggie used his Playful Trickster, means he's vulnerable.
Oh, there comes Stand United. It's down. They should be able to. No, he doesn't even get it. Wow!
Going in for the kill before the shield goes through. He kills Reggie and then some, burning the Stand United. Who cares about Baron? They can just go for it.
Things like that will strike fear into your opponent, knowing that can happen even with a barrier, with the Stand United. That was an extra plus 600 or more HP for Reginald, and he still went down, and technically a 1v2.
Yep, 550 is that Shen shield at rank 2. Doesn't matter. Have Zed. Just kills him.
There we go. The turret's down to about 75. Quickly 50. These guys are crushing down the turret right now. Meteos again going for the tank Nocturne build as before, but still able to just get in there and wreak havoc with his team. High taking away everything that TSM wants in their jungle.
And as I was saying before about the wards
Yep.
in the jungle, since TSM hasn't left their base, Cloud9 knows that TSM wouldn't have coverage there. So if they want to poke around the Baron area, and if they want to make a play, they could probably just go for it. They most likely get this uncontested if they go for a Baron, but they may not even need to. We're only 24 minutes in, Riv. This is actually a little bit reminiscent of Cloud9's second game against Dignitas, which placed them in this game, where Cloud9 just had total control of the game, and at one point almost seemed to be toying with it.
Cloud9 continuously moving up mid, high in the bottom lane to split push out Reginald here. Reginald knows he cannot tango with that, so he's going to get back with the team and try and help this one out. Calling out on Meteos, I don't think he's definitely ulted this game, but he hasn't ulted that much. It's interesting to see that Cloud9 is using multiple ways of initiation to move around the map, not just that paranoia.
Yeah, a couple times he's just snuck into the right spot and then gotten a fear tether off. His positioning has been immaculate. And TSM maybe trying a bit of a last-ditch effort because they know Zed is there.
Oh dear.
But there's a disengage by Cloud9. And this is actually, since Cloud9 doesn't have too much lockdown, it's why they've been more hesitant to just straight up turret dive despite having a large lead. TSM trying to go all in on high, but they're exposing themselves.
Meteos flying
look
in
out,
from the
Turtle.
side. Wild Turtle so deep, he's practically in the end zone by himself. High takes him down. This could be it. Sneaky takes down Reginald. 3 have fallen for Team SoloMid. A 4th goes down, and Dyrus is heading for the fountain, but so is Cloud9.
That was a demolishing of TSM's team. They decided to try to get a kill on high. They could not do it this entire game. Unkillable for the majority of Cloud9, and this looks like the buy for Cloud9.
This is going to be a tight one. They do have, no, that is so much damage on the turrets. They're going to be able to lock this down. Dyrus trying to do what he can with Shenton, but that cooldown may not be up in enough time to stop the damage. He's trying to do everything he can. 4
the
seconds
spot
on
timers are up.
everyone. Those Nexus turrets are down, but Dyrus flexing those muscles.
Barely holds them off here. But, oh man, let's take another look at this one fight. Reginald does get the Shark onto high. And let's check this out. He ults as the Shark would try to eat him to not take damage. Then Wild Turtle decides to try and flash in on him, but the Fear Tether stops Wild Turtle from finishing off high. He only needed one more hit. And by the end of that, if 2 people of TSM and a team that is already behind decide to go for that, it's just over.
And this could be big.
Last-ditch
TSM
effort.
trying to go for it. Cloud9 coming up on the backside. This is TSM's last chance to
There's
keep
only
it in the
3 people of Cloud9 here.
Final game. Cloud9 looking
They
to
might
take
get this
one
Baron.
in a best-of-5 series. Meteos goes in.
Doesn't get it.
Meteos does not get the Baron. Outward comes up big with the smite. Meteos also smited on that one too. So coming out of that, this is going to be a hectic fight. They are powered up. Team SoloMid is going big. Lemon Nation able to come up. No, it was sneaky Static Shiv. Lemon Nation on the run. Here comes High. He's only going to be able to zero out one person, but TSM now has the crowd behind him.
He's not going to get there. That was a 3 for 2 by TSM, and they got the Baron. If they could somehow get back in this game, it would be one of the biggest comebacks in history. But High gets caught, goes in.
This is big. He chooses to use it on on the
He's taking out 3.
1, 2. Lemon Nation is there. The taunt back. Dyrus wants Lemon. Will he be able to get the last hit? Gets away. No, Dyrus puts on the feint. It's going to be a back and forth fight, but like you said, High will come up with the kill.
One last swing, and oh no! Dyrus still being tanky. The feint comes back pretty quick. He gets the taunt.
No vision there. That's Dyrus' ward. They are going to keep chasing this down, but here goes Meteos. Meteos on the paranoia. He is going to for sure lock this down. High comes up with the long coast-to-coast kill.
So what that means now is the Baron that TSM was able to rush is only money for them.
Yeah.
Everyone eventually died from that. So it was a nice effort by TSM, but if we look back, they're still down 11,000 gold. Let's take one more look at this. The equalizer wasn't up immediately, and the odd one outsmited Meteos. I feel like if Meteos gets that smite, the game is over. The Zhonya's was greatly timed by Reginald to at least delay, and at this point, everyone's just waiting for High to arrive. Sneaky pops out with almost no health, and Dyrus was saving his taunt for that moment. And at that point, it just became the chase for High.
Very good communication on the continued pursuit here with Lemon Nation on the backside. They don't have that
This was a
vision
nice
of him.
1v3.
Why? And that's the reason they really wanted to go back in. Once they saw Lemon, it was bad news bears.
High has been able to dodge so many damage spells with his ultimate right now. He gets the detonate while the odd one is in the air, and then X Special was just nearby, so he got wrecked.
And that's not easy to do. Not every ultimate acts the same, triggers the same off the visual effect. So for him to continuously do that, he is completely on top of his game right now in his mechanics. 29 minutes in, very Cloud9-esque to have an inhibitor down in the base of their opponent. 12,000, actually 11,000 is the gold lead as they come up on 239. But 9-2 in turrets means those two turrets are usually the Nexus turrets, but they're not. Those are already down.
This means a very vulnerable base for TSM. TSM was a couple seconds away from absolute defeat before they pulled off a couple big plays. Darius' double kill to a Baron sneak, but all that is done now. Cloud9's kind of regrouped, taking a deep breath. I think they were already celebrating a little bit before that one. Now they just have to win again.
High, once again, dodging that out. It does not affect him. Reginald gets hit up. The Stand United goes to Reggie because they know a lot of power can come from him. He still stays alive, but he goes down. X Special has used the crescendo, has used the exhaust. Everything is defensive right now for TSM to get out.
They just gotta hit the Nexus.
With their eyes on the Nexus, their eyes on the summer split, completely undefeated in the series, 25-3 on the split.
Cloud9 does not drop a single game in the playoffs, and look at that. They are a team that works together and likes each other. That is the best team in North America.
You know, I asked one time, what really motivates you guys? And they said food. Jack always tells them they're going out to eat, and I think they're going to get a pretty damn good dinner after this one.
They better get a nice meal after that, because that was an incredibly impressive game. Even though Meteos died once in that game, that was his only death of the series. It was a very statement-like set for Cloud9. Every game was fast. This last one, 30 minutes.
Fantastic play, Jack.
Yeah, that's his old team. He's definitely got a lot of
commiserations to his old team, and there they are, Cloud9, coming out undoubtedly one of the best teams we have seen in North America.
And it's not just the five of them. You can see their analyst, Alex Penn, helps out so much with their strategy and picks and bans. Of course, their owner-manager, Jack, who helps them with all the other things.
Absolutely.
Really just there to support them.
It is a complete team effort. The beginning of this season, High and Meteos did not get along. High thought he knew better, but he actually lowered that thought to Meteos' knowledge, and these two have come together with Lemon Nation, Balls, Sneaky, Alex, and Jack to create such a great team.
Really just a record-setting season for them as well. It's only fitting. They set a record for wins in the LCS. Meteos gets the KDA record. Then he gets an astonishing KDA here in the finals. They don't drop a single game. If you extended their playoff record to the regular season, they would be 30-3.
Yeah.
They would have that over 90% win rate on the season, which is just absolutely unprecedented in the LCS.
And the mentality of strength, having